I have been sick all day, so I didn't really have a chance to watch the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct. I couldn't even bring myself to do a reaction video because I'm just so exhausted. I've just been so out of it, and I'm feeling a little bit better now. So I think it is time to talk about what we saw in this trailer and what we can expect going forward. And I am not shocked by this. I'm not shocked at all. I a part of me wanted this to happen. A part of me wanted to say this. A part of me wanted to like admit this from the moment I saw from the first trailer. But I didn't feel as if with that first trailer I really saw enough to really give my full impression on it. It felt like it was just kind of like it wasn't enough. Okay, like I thought the debut trailer was great. I thought it was intriguing. I thought it was interesting, but it wasn't enough to really get an idea of what the game was and how they were going to innovate from past entries. But now that I've seen now that I've seen more from Super Mario Bros. Wonder, now that I've seen more from the game, now that Nintendo has shown us like 15 minutes of footage, now that we've like seen the power ups, now that we've seen like the location and the story and the concept and what the Wonder Flowers do and everything along those lines, like I am very, very impressed, right? This game looks phenomenal. It really does feel kind of like a Super Mario Land 3 kind of deal, where like Mario is going to a new kingdom, he's meeting these new characters, like he's fighting these new enemy types in these new locations with this new original animation, with these new original power-ups. It is, I think, everything that we wanted to see from a new 2D Mario game. Like, I stand by the new Super Mario Bros. Games. You know, I love the original new Super Mario Bros. I love Wii. I love you. I love the general new Super Mario Bros. Aesthetic, right? But I do think Nintendo made the right decision in trying to innovate, trying to do something different, trying to like try to use a slightly different visual style. I hate calling it like completely original because there's still a lot of that like new Super Mario Bros. Aesthetic here, but like the fact that it just has so much animation to it, that it's so lively, that it has so much like soul to it. Like I think that in and of itself is I hesitate to use the term improvement because, like I said, I really, really, really love the new Super Mario Bros. Aesthetic. But when I look at Wonder, like objectively speaking, there's nothing bad to see here visually. Like when I look at it, like I just get excited. Like my issue with this game, like going into this, is that like I think people have traditionally very, 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 very much undervalued the appeal of 2D Mario games, particularly when it comes to New Super Mario Bros. Because this really should be an IP, a sub series, a side, this really should be a Mario series that's held in much higher regard than it actually is, right? Like I have a lot of fond memories playing New Super Mario Bros. The original New Super Mario Bros. And Wii, right? And you, I think, is like stands on its own as a really good, great platformer in its own right, right? Like I think a lot of these games offer a lot of really cool, interesting innovations to the Super Mario Bros. Formula, and they don't get enough credit for it. Like I think too many people try to say that these games are too easy, or that they're too simple, or that like they're not that engaging. But in reality, they are phenomenal, right? Like if you actually sit down and play these games, you will realize very quickly that they are very, 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 very good. Other than like New Super Mario Bros. 2, but like people will acknowledge that like 2 has real problems, right? That it like maybe it shouldn't have existed. Maybe they should have just focused all their time and effort on the U instead. But I do strongly feel as if like there's nothing fundamentally wrong with new Super Mario Bros. Games, and I really want to emphasize that going into Super Mario Bros. Wonder's release is that like I don't necessarily think that like Wonder's art style is objectively better. But like my excitement for the game has nothing to do with the art style. It has nothing to do with the animations. It has nothing to do with like anything like superficial like that. When like I look at this game, when I look at what you're doing, when I look at like the gameplay, when I look at like what the game is like I see an absolute masterpiece. Like this is, I think, probably the best 2D platformer we've gotten from Nintendo since Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and that is not a statement I make lightly, right? Like it has that same kind of creativity to it. It has like the gameplay variety. It has like all this stuff going on. It has all these unique aspects to it. To the gameplay, it has a lot of variety, a lot of cool visual elements. Like there's even like a little bit of a story thing here where like people don't know necessarily what to make of those flower things. Like, are they evil? Like, I remember like watching the opening cutscene and like seeing Bowser merge with that castle and kind of thinking that like, wow, we've never actually seen something like this before. It's a little bit different. Like, it's very familiar. It's very Super Mario Bros. Ish, but like at the same time, like this specific setup is sticks out as being like somewhat different, somewhat unique, somewhat distinct from each other. And I really, really love that about it. Right, this game does a really good job, I think, of blending new and old elements. Right, like it is a Super Mario Bros. Game, clearly, but at the same time, it has all these wild, like crazy aspects to it. Like, arguably, I would say this is the craziest Mario has been since like Super Mario Land 2. Right, like I think by the time World came out, like the ideas kind of standardized a little bit. Like you stop getting things like giant and entire worlds where like enemies are gigantic or introducing new enemies like by that point like by Super Mario Bros. 3 it felt like the formula had already been established and they were just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Not that that's a bad thing, like but like at the same time like there wasn't at that point for a long time afterward, like they were kind of reiterating on stuff they've already done and like improving on it and doing new things with it. Like Super Mario World has like the map screen and like the alternate paths, and 64 is full 3D, and like Sunshine has like flood and stuff like that. Like obviously these games are all really creative, but like it's not 2D Mario. It's not like if you're not playing 2D Mario and coming across like an entirely new engaging world with its own like unique tone and style and stuff like that. Like what I'm saying is that like when Land 1 and 2 came out, like a lot of those aspects did not carry over into like the mainline Mario games. They spun off into Wario Land, and that's kind of been a problem for a long time. Is that like Mario introduces these cool new concepts, and a lot of times they just make their way into other franchises, right? Like the team does something else, or like we may never get those same style games again, right? Like it's been 20 years now and we still haven't seen like a direct sequel to Super Mario Sunshine. But of course, as fans, we've been exposed to like Splatoon and stuff like that, and like in a lot of ways, Splatoon is kind of the spiritual successor of Super Mario Sunshine. It has like the same core like appeal of like shooting things with like your gun and stuff like that. It has a lot more variety, but like a lot the similarities are there, right? That's uh that's my thinking on this is that like this really feels IGN said this is too. Like this could be like a Super Mario Bros. 4, right? Like Super Mario Bros. Got a ton of sequels. It's gotten like it spun off into an entire franchise. But like Super Mario Bros. Wonder really feels as like this is like a truly next generation new Super Mario Bros. 2D Mario game, which something we haven't gotten since you know the Super Nintendo era. Honestly, like typically up to this point, like a lot of these games were like low budget, like relative, like the DS one came first, right? The 2006 New Super Mario Bros. Like 2D Mario for a long time has been relegated to handhelds. So like seeing like a full big budgeted console release, right, with like its own original visual style, with its own design, with its own like content. Like this is a really exciting time, and I cannot reiterate this enough. I cannot emphasize this enough. The gaming industry is greatly underestimating how popular this game is going to be. I've said this several times. I expect this game to sell more than 20 million units. Oh, it's going to be better than Mario Odyssey. Like I've seen this like I've seen enough of Super Mario Bros. Wonder at this point where I can tell you this for a fact is that like I expect Super Mario Bros. Wonder will be better than Super Mario Bros. Odyssey, right? Like both in quality and like it will do better in sales. Where was I going before that? Yeah. People are underestimating like how well this is going to sell. Right, it's going to sell like upwards of 20 million units, likely in its first year. Right, it is going to be a huge, huge, huge hit. People are vastly, vastly, vastly underestimating its success and popularity. But secondly, and I think this might be more important, is that this is more important. People are underestimating how good the game actually is going to be. Right? People just say, "Oh, it's another 2D Mario game." That doesn't get people excited anymore. Like we've grown past 2D platformers. Like all anybody cares about is these big 100-hour long like CRPGs or whatever. But In reality, this stuff is really popular, and people really, really, really enjoy it to the point where like I honestly think going into this, like after seeing this direct, is it possible that Super Mario Bros. Wonder might be Game of the Year this year? Like it might be possible that this thing is better than Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I'm not saying that's likely because I love Tears of the Kingdom. I thought it was great. But like I definitely think there's a possibility. I definitely think, much like with Pikmin 4, there is a possibility that that might be the case. And unfortunately, Pikmin 4 kind of disappointed me, even though I had like much higher expectations for that than this. But uh looking at this trailer, like, seeing how excited I am, seeing what they're doing with this, seeing what like where things are going right now, like I have to wonder, like, are we going to see? Is there going to be a real debate over like what the game of the year for the year is, like Super Mario Bros. Wonder versus Tears of the Kingdom? And unfortunately, I think a lot of people will go for Tears of the Kingdom simply because it's a 3D open world game. But like when I look at like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, like I think for me personally, there is a shot that this might be a game that's so good, so groundbreaking, such a great entry in the new 2D Mario space that, really, really appeals to hardcore fans and new ones alike, that it might be better than Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe. And like, it certainly isn't impossible, right? Like, and going into this, like I'm really starting to feel excited for this game. I'm really starting to think this might be something special. Like I definitely think it's going to be something I heartily play through and enjoy. I am officially hyped for this game now. I'm really really excited to see what Nintendo does with Super Mario Bros. Wonder when it releases this October. This is a game I am very very much looking forward to.